Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Make a Seat podcast. This week we have Sarah Benken, founder and CEO of No Women. I am super excited for this episode because Sarah is an amazing woman. She has so much to offer. And see, this is the thing. I don't know what I'm going to say, and then I screw it up every time.
It's totally fine.
I like to wing it, though. I feel like scripted is.
I hate scripted. I'm with you.
But then it gets awkward, and then I screw myself up. Okay, let me try that again.
So funny.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Make a Seat podcast. This week we have Sarah Benken, founder of, is it Benken or Benken? How do you say it?
Benken.
Benken, okay.
Yeah.
Third time's the charm. Here we go.
We got it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Make a Seat podcast. This week we have Sarah Benken, founder and CEO of No Women. I'm super excited to have Sarah today. She has so much valuable information to offer. She is the CEO of a 7-figure brand. She is a serial entrepreneur, and her passion is supporting women, specifically high-achieving business women that are overworked and lacking community with like-minded women. Why? Because she has been there in the wrong rooms, stretched thin, and feeling like she was alone on the journey. As an accomplished CEO of 12 years, Sarah has built and scaled her own brands internationally. She's an award-winning entrepreneur that knows firsthand what it is like to feel the need to connect with her people and having trouble finding them. She's on a mission to provide space for dynamic female leaders to gather, collaborate, and be celebrated for their successes and hard work. So we're going to be talking today about bootstrapping and scaling, building a 7-figure business, and finding your community and why it matters. So welcome to the show, Sarah.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I have been looking forward to this episode for a while now, so I'm really pumped up. But I wanted to start out with just a little bit about your background. You know, you didn't start out as a 7-figure brand owner.
That's right. So I roughly have been a business owner for 11, 12-ish years. And then prior to that, my background was in small business management and in accounting. I'm actually an accountant by trade. And my last real job, as I like to say, I was an accounting manager for a medium-sized company.
Oh, okay. So you've been in the business world for quite a while.
Yes.
Did you always feel like you were destined for more when you were working at your quote unquote real job?
I love to say the real job, right? It's like the last real job before you become a business owner. But of course, so I always tell the story and I say for any aspiring entrepreneur, any entrepreneur, business owner that's, needing or feeling struggle or needing some outlook, I always say, when I was an accounting manager working at my last real job, I would look at how much we were bringing in from a revenue standpoint and how much I was making and how much everyone else is making. Of course, I would never share that information, but I thought to myself, if I could be a business owner and I could, be in charge of the revenue I was bringing in, I knew that I was a hard worker. I knew that the hustle was real. I knew that whatever I was doing was it going to be, if I knew whatever I was doing was going to be in direct relation to the amount of revenue I was making, it was a no-brainer for me. So I guess to answer your question, long story is, of course, I never felt fulfilled working for someone else. I'm a little sassy and it's hard to kind of control me and contain me and put me in a corporate world or corporate structure. So for sure, launching out on my own was like the only way.
I feel you on that. And I remember personally when I was working at these real jobs, I felt like I was a bad employee, or I felt like, I just felt like it wasn't right for me. And it almost made me feel down about myself. But now, fast forward several years later, I realize it's not that there was something wrong with me. I just wasn't the right fit for the more corporate structured world as an employee.
Absolutely.
Okay, so take us from working as an accounting manager to opening your own business. How did that happen and why did you take that leap?
So I'm a mom, and my youngest is actually 12 years old now, but we had just had Sydney, and I was commuting 45 minutes each way to work. I was working for someone else. I was like, my office felt like it was closing in by lunchtime, and I just had to get out of there. I needed more flexibility in my schedule. My mom was coming over to do my laundry on the weekends. My son, who was older, 10 years older, was in football. So we were busy as all could be. And again, it goes back to that whole concept of, okay, so I could pick my own hours. I'm in control of my income. I can like just make my own way. For me, it was really a no-brainer, but I launched my first business 12 years ago because of a need to have flexible living and to just be able to be in control of my day and my life.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first business, so that wasn't No Women, that was something different, right?
Yes. So our first business was Metro's Other Woman, which is a personal assisting and concierge company. We started that back in 2008, 2009, right in the middle of the economic downturn. But it was actually a really beautiful time to start a business. So my tip to anyone who might be listening to this, if they are kind of in a funk right now, maybe you're employed or you have a side hustle or you're looking to launch out on your own, this is the perfect time. Like right in the middle of this pandemic, just jump out and do it. So if you're kind of struggling professionally, don't know really what the next steps are, I would say do it. We did that in 2008, 2009, right in the middle of the economic downturn back then during the housing crisis. We launched Metro's Other Woman, and it was a great time because with change comes innovation. So Measures of the Woman is a personal assisting, business assisting, concierge company. I actually started it when I was living on the East Coast in Raleigh, North Carolina. I live in Phoenix now. And like I said, we kind of did it as a way to really take back control of our lives and what we really thought was important. So I took a leap. The craziest story, I had no intention on doing the work myself. I was kind of a managerial role. I knew I was going to hire staff to provide the services, and we offered everything from house cleaning, errand running, laundry services, small business help, social media help, filing, and then I came in as the freelance accountant. So I was able to kind of segue my way out of my career by offering freelance accounting services and things like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you were out of the gate as CEO. It wasn't like you started out doing all the work yourself and then expanded.
Right.
That's genius. So what made you decide to go into that line of work or that type of business?
Well, ironically enough, it's just something I kind of stumbled upon. So I had a lot of my background, professional background, had been in construction. So I was working in the construction industry, and prior to launching out on my own, I was kind of in this struggle of like, okay, what's next? What am I going to do? I'm bored, and which is very entrepreneurial. I'm bored. I don't know what's next. And so I went in and kind of went through about 6 to 8 months of this self-seeking what's next for me. So I went into some nonprofit interviews and thought maybe I'll just do nonprofit accounting, and it didn't feel right. And then I thought, well, maybe I'm going to open this construction company because there's nothing more badass than like a boss woman construction owner. So I was like, maybe I'll just take my knowledge from the construction world and partner with some people who could actually do the work, the construction work, and then I would just manage it and be the owner, of course. And so I was leaning actually more going into that direction, but I was just having this conversation. I tell the story all the time. I was having this conversation on the couch Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and I'm very close with my mother, and she and I were talking about again my frustration with my career, and I need to do something, and I need to get out on my own. I don't know what it's going to be. And she goes, well, Sarah, when I was younger, I always wanted to like run errands for people. And I was like, Mom, that is so dumb. Like, I cannot build a career off of running errands for people. I'm a high level executive at this company. I'm like, I have a great salary and benefits, so I'm going to trade that just to go run errands for people. But and not to put that down at all, but I thought, like, can I even do that? So she planted the seed. And from there, I was like, okay, maybe I can. Actually, let me go to Google. Is there anybody doing this professionally? Is there a business? I mean, clearly I need to, create a corporate style business where you have on-demand access and, all of these other service offerings that I had dreamed up. So I was like, let me go and do some research. And there wasn't anybody. But then again, like I said, the timing was perfect with this economic downturn, the looming recession, and lots of layoffs. So my labor pool was amazing. And you had a lot of companies and people getting rid of full-time salaried employees and needing a little bit, right? So I was able to offer a little bit to all of these different clients. And then I was able to take these amazing pool of employees and co-opt them with various work to create a full-time schedule. So it ended up working very beautifully. But yeah, it started off with this idea of like, oh, when I was younger, I really wanted to like run errands for people. And I was like, are you serious, Mom?
That's so funny. So when you started it out, was it considered virtual?
No, it was true. Like, we would go to your home, we would go to your place of business. I would go out and do a consultation. We would place you with the right fit, the right person. We would build out a custom schedule and offering. It was very, very, very hands-on. And that's why you see a lot of that within the No Women now, like how we are structured, because we have so much experience from that. And what's really fun about Metro's Other Woman is really early on, my life partner and business partner came in, Michael, and he goes, Sarah, you're being crazy. Like, you have this amazing concept. You could take this outside of Raleigh. And I was like, no, 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 no. Like, all I wanted to do was just like get away from the corporate job, right? So I couldn't even see beyond that. I just wanted to like sustain. And so again, he plants a seed. So they always plant the seed and it takes me a minute to like catch up. And so I started working with him so that we could really build out what an expansion plan, scaling plan would look like. So we actually still have that business in existence. I'm more of the CEO, founder, visionary of that company. And I have licensed out all of my locations that I own to another one of our great friends and partners.
Awesome. So does he have a business background as well? Is he entrepreneurial?
He is not. He's actually, he's a lawyer and he is just biz dev. Like, he's really great at coming up with these concepts and these ideas. And because he's like my life partner and my business guy, we just talk business all the time, home, work. He left his position to come jump on board with me so that we could grow this business. And then he actually ended up going to law school, which is what brought us out to Phoenix.
Oh my gosh, so cool. So, okay, tell us about No. Tell us what No is for those people who don't know it. And then tell us how you transitioned from this, multi location concierge business into No.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so No is a community for high achieving female entrepreneurs, leaders, creators, business owners, business women. We're a community that comes together, and really we're all about linking arms. We want to pay it forward. We're all about helping each other rise and grow with each other. And we just became what we like to consider a global initiative.
Awesome.
And so within the No Women, we started this about almost 3 years ago. We started the No Women with a book, and it was known as the No Book. And I started it here in Phoenix, Arizona. As I mentioned, I moved out to Phoenix to be with Michael because he had been to law school, and we moved our family to Phoenix. But when I moved to Phoenix, I really didn't know anyone. And I kind of set out as this CEO woman looking to meet her sisters, meet her friends, find the circles. Where do I go? What do I do? How do I find vendors? What do I want to do in this next phase? So I joined all of these. The story is that I joined all of these various groups. We went to like technology mixers. We went to like garden club style events. We went to women's lunches, philanthropic, all kinds of things. And by just immersing myself into the women's networking world, I was able to really find a great community. And I thought to myself, wow, there's a lot of really amazing women here in Phoenix. We need to do something to bring them to the table. We need to do something to spotlight them. We realized that there were so many women who were doing amazing things here in our Phoenix community, that we needed to find a way to get them celebrated for the accolades that they're earning and the hard work they're doing in the community. So I set out to build what we call the No Book. So it's women you should know and do business with. And we launched our very first book in February of 2018, I think, and brought in our very first class of No Women. We had about 124 women in that book. And I will tell you, people were like, what is this? How do I get to be a part of this community? I've never seen a book like this. Of course, we display all of the women in a very sophisticated, glamorous style. And we look to seek out the best and brightest of the community. So we launched our first book in 2018, and within the next month, we had media knocking on our doors, people from all over the country saying, how do I get No to my city? I want to do a book. This is really cool. I haven't seen anything like this. So what we did is, like I said, we kind of built this book first, but then from the book came the community. And the community, we realized, is the most important feature of No, because women want to do business with other women. They want to be with like-minded individuals who understand their struggles and understand their needs, and more than just work, but in life as well. So we decided to launch this out into other markets using my scaling experience from my original company, Metro's Other Woman. We were able to do that. We don't license this. This is 100% in-house corporate, but we have ambassadors that come to us and say, hey, I want to bring No to my city. And we give them an opportunity to do so.
I love No. So it's funny that you said when people started seeing the book, they were like, how do I be a part of this? I remember when I first started seeing No around Tampa, and I would see it on Instagram and social media, and I just kept seeing this No, this KNOW on it. And it was always with women that I wanted to connect with, that I had already kind of seen around the community or knew of them, or maybe I even met them a few times, but they were the people that I wanted to have relationships with. And it was just like every time that happened, they were associated with No. So eventually, I mean, I just went online and like found No and joined the society. And of course it snowballed from there. But it's the way that you do it is different than a way that other communities that support women different. What do you think is your secret sauce that separates you from some of these other women's entrepreneurial groups?
Well, clearly it's the book. No one has this gorgeous book that we produce annually. But like I said, what we started to do was, originally it was all about the book, and then the community. We were like, wow, there are some amazing women who are coming into this No book. We should build community around them. Let's host events. Let's get them working together. What would happen if they started really working together? They could, create partnerships and friendships and all sorts of things. But we realized that the connection was actually more important than the book. So what we did was, about mid-cycle, like I said, we've been around 3 years. So about a year ago, we flipped it over and we said, let's look at building the community, and let's feature the amazing women in our community, our No community, in our No book. So the book is by far the most differentiating factor, but also too, before you can come and join our membership and get into the No book, you're vetted. So we want to meet you. We want to know who you are. We want to know that you're not a mean girl and that you believe in the lift and rise mantra and you want to help other women. You're doing something in the community. So there's a little bit of a barrier to entry when it comes to getting involved in the no book, but that's because we want to make sure that we're all like-minded and we can do life and work together. We want everyone to understand that no is a sisterhood and that it's a safe place.
Yeah. How many cities is no in now?
So we are in, that's a really good question. We are in 12 cities now, and then we have plans to launch in 5 additional cities in 2021 and growing. So we actually just released our goals for the 2021 year, and our goal is to bring in 1 new book every month. So our goal is 12 for 2021.
That's amazing. So what makes it a global community? I know you just did the shift you guys did the shift from no women to now having no global as well. What does that mean?
So we're scaling and we are evolving and it's like a love-hate with COVID and this pandemic, right? So it really forced me to stay home and stop traveling and to really look at the overall vision and growth plan for No. So we think that we can do more. We think that we could expand and impact even more people. So the goal is to do just that. So we want to impact every woman, any woman that wants to align with us, that believes in the lift and rise mantra, that wants to link arms with us. We want to link arms with them. So we're going to still continue to have our no books. Like I said, our plan is to launch in 12 new cities next year. We'll have our local communities, but we want to really focus on outreach to other women and women who maybe there isn't a book or a community established in their market yet. We want to find a way to allow them access to all of the amazing things that we're doing. So we decided to create the global membership. So the global membership is going to entail us. There's so much. I don't even know how much I can share at this point because it's not quite open to the public yet. But the global membership is going to take everything that we've learned during COVID, which was a lot of virtual, a lot of online master classes, educational opportunities, business development opportunities, virtual connection events, opportunities for promotion and exposure. And if you're in a local market, you'll be able to attend local events. And then we're also looking to expand our offering list. So outside of the No book, we do a best of No. So we're going to keep the best of No book, all of the local No books, but we're also going to be doing some national 40 under 40 lists. We're going to be doing very segmented, specific category lists. So we'll do, top culinary arts women or top women in culinary arts. We're looking at doing a top 100 list. And then when the time is right, we're already in Canada and the United States now, so it makes us sort of international. But when the time is right, we're going to look to take those publications and those opportunities into Europe, which I'm estimating sometime in late 2021.
Wow, those are huge plans. That's a really big vision.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? But I wouldn't say that it's not possible. We already have connections that are starting to reach out and people who want to get it. So it's more about managing the growth and making sure that our current and existing members are getting exactly what they need right now so that when we do launch, everyone is in a very happy place.
Are you still the visionary of this business? Do you kind of create the ideas and where you want to go with it?
Yeah, I am the visionary, 100% owner. And that's just kind of like what the plan is. And I don't think it'll ever change. We don't have any investors. We do have a lot of strategic partners. Of course, we have our ambassadors that serve as a local face for all of these markets, as well as our board. We have a new nonprofit coming in November, and the No Cares nonprofit, which will be a US-based nonprofit to begin with, but we've got a board. I've got an advisory team that helps me focus on diversity. So what I've done is I'm still the solo visionary, but then I have identified women, either by them coming to me or me just identifying them, to come and help guide me to make sure that this is no women and not no Sarah.
Wow, that's so cool. You have so much going on. So with your vision though, is it just like innate in you? Is it just something that you've always had where kind of the next step just comes to you and you're like, yep, that's what we're going to do. That's the direction we're going.
Yeah, I'm not sure how how it all comes together. My intuition definitely leads me. If it doesn't feel right and it doesn't feel good, we do not do it. I can't tell you how many ideas people have proposed in the past that just aren't a good fit at the time or ever. I really keep, for no, I'm really keeping the mission at heart. So if it doesn't fit the mission or where we want to see no go, then we just simply don't do it.
That makes sense. That makes decision making so much easier. If it fits the mission, yes. If it doesn't, no.
Right. And it's that whole thing, like in life, if it's not 100% yes, then it's a no. Like if it doesn't fit in the soul and feel good, it's a no. So it really helps you when you get into that mindset. It helps you prevent yourself from compromising your beliefs or your values or your goals or whatever. Just, so I would say never chase paper, never chase money, chase the vision, and it comes together.
I love that. I really like that. So you mentioned before how you took your scaling experience when you created No and when you started expanding No. Can you tell us more about your scaling experience and kind of like how does somebody go about scaling? Like it's hard enough to start a business and then to actually scale is a whole nother beast.
Well, I think I was able to scale, one, because of course I had Michael right beside me, who's a big visionary as well. He brought different tactical skills to the table, but I have strong experience in organization and management and accounting. I knew my numbers when I started, and so many business owners don't. So the first thing I would say is, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let me say that too. If you don't know your numbers, it's not your jam. You don't have SOPs, standard operating procedures, those sorts of things. Get someone to provide that, because that's the basis of scaling any business, is knowing your numbers, having true processes and procedures, and Erica, you appreciate this, making sure that your contracts and your intellectual property and all of your legal things are totally buttoned up. And that's the first step to scaling. So you have to really look outside of what you're doing in the business, but you've got to get on top of the business to start figuring out, if I'm in a scale, and to me, scaling means going into a new market or expanding my business in some shape or form, you could scale by offering a new product line or whatever. But if you're going to scale, you have to know where you stand and not be afraid to look at the numbers and then create some goals around where you are now to where you want to go. And then just map it out.
So with that, mapping it out, I mean, most people don't just have like this enormous abundance of money coming in, even if they have, a solid amount that works for them in their current business situation. Is there a specific number that you need, or a percentage or anything that you feel like you need before you can take a leap and just invest into this next location or this next vertical or whatever, the scaling is that you're going to be doing?
So I would say there's no specific number or right time or, for that would work across the board for everyone. We opened with Metros of the Women, we opened our second office location in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is roughly 2.5 to 3 hours away from Raleigh. And the decision that we made, or I made for launching, was when I hit XX revenue is when we'll consider our second location. But that was a location that I knew I was opening and that I was going to have to operate. It wasn't under the licensing program. But once we got to Charlotte, I said, oh my God, this is so hard. How am I going to keep managing this location, Raleigh location, corporate structure did not work for this business model. So for the business model for the concierge company, we knew we had to either franchise or license. And then those are the things that you want to kind of ask yourself as you're looking to scale. What's that structure going to be? Is it going to be a licensing model? Is there going to be a franchising model? What's the, like you said, what's the investment? Do you need to bootstrap? I mean, are you bootstrapping? Do you have investors? Do you have a stash of cash? So there's so many things to think in terms of scaling and what's right for your business. For us with Metro's Other Women, we had about a 50% overhead. So we were in a really great position. And for me personally, as a business owner, even to present day, no, most of what we bring in is reinvested back into our business so that we can continue to scale and grow and provide additional opportunities.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So for people who are like, okay, I know what I want to do this licensing model, or I want to do whatever, how do they even get started? Or is there a resource or somewhere people should go to find out?
Yeah, you. They should go to you.
Okay, yeah, I'll take that. That's a great answer.
Well, and the big difference for us was, like I said, No has a different expansion structure. No is 100% corporate. I knew that I could build an HQ team that would really be able to manage the efforts with a couple of people on the ground. And so we've built out our structure that way. I also knew that I didn't want to dilute the brand by franchising or licensing. I wanted No to be a one community. So those are some of the things that went through my head as to what's that structure going to look like. But for Metro's Other Women, I knew that I couldn't be managing or running these stores, if you will, or locations across the United States. It was just too much. There was a lot of turnover in terms of staffing and clients. There was a model that I had developed, but it was better suited in a licensing or franchising model. So we looked at both of those, franchising and licensing, and I know you're familiar with all of this, so I won't go in too much. But we looked at both of those models and we said, which model makes most sense for us? Of course, the barriers to entry and franchising are way more significant than licensing. There's a lot more, protocols and paperwork and financials required to become a franchisor. But also the thing that was really important for us for our licensing, we decided to go with licensing, was because we wanted our licensees to be able to identify what services they wanted to offer. We knew that we had this great model for Metro's Other Women, the concierge company, but not everybody wanted to add the house cleaning option in. Not everyone wanted to, et cetera, et cetera. So we wanted to offer them the flexibility to choose. So licensing just kind of made more sense that way.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. That things aren't one size fits all. But
Right.
now that we're on the topic of legal, I know you told me briefly before you entered into some legal trouble yourself with your intellectual property. Can you give us a little bit more insight into that, whatever you can share?
Sure. So, my goodness. So like I said, we started the notebook here in 2018, and it's become really a staple in our community. And people know, and they know what it is, and it has a very defined, definite look to it. And a notebook looks like when you skim through the pages and you see, I would venture to say, even if you were to see a solo page, someone's page online, you would say, oh, that's probably a No page. It just looks very similar to what all of the other pages look like within No. So earlier this year, I was sitting at a meeting with one of our advisory teams here in Phoenix, and this lady pulls out a book and she hands it to me and she says, oh, look at this new book, XXX, I won't say her name. Look at this new book that so-and-so just handed me. And I was like, oh, so cute. So I just start flipping through it during the meeting. And of course I immediately was like, that looks like the notebook. But okay. And I kind of just put it away and waited for the meeting to end. And then the meeting ended and everybody left. And I started looking at it, and I brought my team in and I said, yo, come over here and look at this book. It was literally set up like the Notebook. It was all the images, all of the templates, everything that I actually paid to have someone create from scratch. Completely like a imitation guide. It was a guide. However, the caveat was it wasn't just female only. It was male and women, man and women. And it was actually really ironic because there was a couple of my no women in this publication. And so I thought, oh, wow, this is, including the person that passed it to me. And of course, the lady who gave it to me said, oh my God, I had no intention to like give this to you and like let this whole thing spin out of control. Probably the most interesting piece of all of it, the gal who was producing this book, this new book, was actually in our first book. So she was an inaugural founding member of No. Wow. And thought that she could do it better herself, and thought that she kind of took her photo shoot experience and her experience with being in No and created her own guide, if you will. And it was so blatant when you flipped over the book. If you see a No book, there's this like a little 2-paragraph description of what No is. And this just blew my mind, because when I flipped over her book, it was the exact same 2 paragraphs, except my No name was taken out and her book name was replaced.
Wow.
So it was like such clear breach of copyright and IP. I mean, we immediately, of course, I said, Michael, please help me, please. So he's like the guy who's like the tough guy in the background, the quiet one in the background, but he's always there when we need something. And I said, oh my gosh, take a look at this. Like, this is insane. And here's what I want to say. It's okay to, and maybe I don't know if you would say this from a legal standpoint, but from a business owner standpoint, they say, it's a form of flattery, and people R&D all the time, rip off and duplicate all the time, and they use your work as inspiration for their work, right? I mean, you hear that all of the time, and there's this fine line. But this infringement was so blatant and so clear, even just from the back 2 paragraphs on the cover. So I contacted her. I thought, well, we talked to an attorney, a couple of our attorneys, we talked to them, and of course we had a case, but who wants to take it to court? So I simply contacted her and I said, what are you thinking? Are you insane? And she denied the whole thing. Yeah, I know. She denied the whole thing. And she said, it wasn't me, it was, somebody else. And I thought, okay, well, I don't really care who it is. Here is a lesson for all my business owner friends out there. You are accountable for your actions as a business owner, for your actions, for the actions of your vendors, the actions of your employees, and the actions of your contractors. So whether you did it or someone else on your team did it, it still comes back to you. So you must be accountable to that. So she said, well, listen, what do you want? What do you want to have? What do you want to happen? And I said, you need to stop. Thank goodness, because this book hadn't been in circulation for very long. It was like a pre-release copy. And I said, well, you have to pull them all, change the back cover. Well, I can't do that. Well, you have to, otherwise you're going to be sued for a good chunk of change.
Yeah. Wow. So you were able to work it out though?
Able to work it out.
Gosh. Well, it's a good thing because you had everything lined up already.
It's all lined up.
Yep. You went to lawyers, you did everything to protect it, but some people don't. And then they just get into this bind and they're like, wow, now I don't know what to do. Do I have any recourse? Where am I going to find the money to even fight this fight? So, for those of you who are listening, who might be like dismissing getting your legal ducks in a row, this isn't just a theoretical thing. This happens every day. And this happened with one of No's own members, one of their own founding members. Like, you just never know who's going to be the one.
She's not a member anymore.
Of course not. Yeah, definitely want to get that kind of mindset out of the group. But, you mentioned the phrase imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. My take on that, I've said this before, imitation might be the sincerest form of flattery, but infringement is not. There's a
Oh,
big
yes.
difference between finding inspiration from somebody that you admire and, running with it, and then just copying somebody's hard work. Even if it's not word for word, like you can't just take somebody's idea and make it your own. And where's the reward in that anyway,
Right. And that's exactly what I said. I think the beauty of being an entrepreneur is that you're developing and creating and blowing and vibing and, creating vision for your brand that you are passionate about. And so when you go and take someone's words or you take someone's vision, that's like not even in alignment with what an entrepreneur even is.
Right, exactly. I agree with that. Okay, so changing gears a little bit, that was a lot. um, so obviously when it comes to community and connections are super important. That's kind of the core of the company. But how important were your connections in establishing this business and even your other business in order to make it successful? Was that a big component of it?
Oh my gosh. My community is everything. My connections are everything to me, in every way. So, and I mean, really what I did was, that's how the book was developed. It was, I needed a community for myself. I needed to go and seek out who my people were. And I did that by immersing myself into so many things. How many times do we do that when we're new to a profession or we're looking to expand our network or wanting to grow in our professions? We just kind of like throw ourselves into everything. And then I thought, well, gosh, what a better opportunity to really curate something that I, that it sounds silly, but it's like curate something that I deem is worthy to myself and it's worthy to my other fellow, high achievers as well. So when we set out to build I knew it wasn't going to be just about me because I didn't know enough people in Phoenix to really identify 100 amazing women. I mean, I was really new here myself. So what I did was I went to a couple of different people that I had associations with, and I had met along the way. And I said, hey, I want to put together this book and put together a community for high achieving women. Will you help me? And I did that by going into, I knew that needed to be diverse, and diversity is a big component of, it's in our core values. It's a big component of what we do. We want to be women, but we want to be women from all different races, backgrounds, industries, ages, colors, everything. So it was really important to me that we go out and seek women in different circles and age ranges to pull in other women like them so that we had this display of really amazing, diverse female leaders. So yeah, I leveraged the heck out of my community in order to build Know. And that's what we do. And that's how we've continued to evolve and grow.
Yeah, I love Know, obviously. And that's one of the reasons why I like it. It's already done for me. I love the word curated that you just used. These are hand-picked people and people who are serious enough to make the financial commitment to be there and,
Yep.
And want to be there. So I'm kind of like you, where I just throw myself into so many things. I am in way too many groups and organizations. And now we're in COVID, so I haven't been networking
Right.
I used to, but I'm just like constantly like that. But the hard part is like you're only going to meet so many people each time, and then you're either gonna have that vibe or you're not. And I spend so much time doing it. And one of the things that I've been working on personally, and this isn't to say that I don't want to be around certain people, but you always want to surround yourself with people who are more successful than yourself, and also people who are like-minded, and have that diversity of age ranges as well. So for me, I am having trouble figuring out how to scale up my community, not community by like regional, but my community, the people that I'm surrounded with.
Right.
So do you have a tip or some tips about how to do that, how to make that happen?
So here's what I'll say. We always know when we're in the wrong room. right? I mean, you walk into the room and you immediately can feel that there's not this alignment. You know you're in the wrong room. And so my goal is to help every woman feel like they're in the right room. And I always like to say, Erica, never be the smartest person in the room. So you want to make sure that you're aligning with women who bring something to the table. I think in some part, every woman brings something to the table, but making sure that you're with people who care about your future, who care to help you get to the next level. And it's really about finding this, the variety of levels from your community or the people that you're working with. So I mean, for me, it's very simple. Just be a no and and you'll get what you need. But I would say the first thing that you want to do is take an audit, like look at where you're at now. And if you feel like you're not in the right place, you're not in the right room, then really try to identify what does that look and feel like, and then seek out other communities. I feel like if you want to promote yourself, level up, if you're ready for the level up, it's always great to get into an organization that's maybe not industry based, because women from other industries are going to be the ones who are going to cheer you on and also provide a lot of value that you don't think of, right? So if you're in an only lawyers group, then you're mixing it up with lawyers only. But what about if you are in a group with other entrepreneurs or just entrepreneurs that are going to bring this like different vibe to the table? So I would say, you would first kind of look at where you are and what you're doing, and then hone in on the right things. Doing too much is sometimes well, it's all the time exhausting. But you're right, if you walk into 10 rooms, you might find one or two people out there in each room. But what if you were in a room with all of those one or two people? That's how we've like really expanded No too. So for us, we want to make sure that all the women are the right women in the right room, if that makes sense. So that's why we have you nominate and bring in people who are kind of like us. And we really try to display our values and our stance and our mission right at the door, so that you know who we are and what we stand for.
Yeah, I mean, your branding is so consistent. There's no misunderstanding what you guys are about. So you definitely are accomplishing that. Um, so it's funny, I like your tip. I actually have a Google Doc open on my computer where I'm writing out all the things I'm involved in, all the commitments, all the memberships, networking organizations that I frequent. And I'm working on narrowing that down for 2021, because I'm just naturally the kind of person who overextends myself and wants to network. But I just really want to make sure that I'm spending my time where it makes sense, where I'm in the right room, like you said.
And two, I think that when you do that, you can focus on fostering the relationships with the right people and not be spread so thin where you have a bunch of very vague relationships with a bunch of people. And I think you'll find that you go further when your group is a little bit smaller, your circle is a little bit smaller. I've had people tell me that they've left every board that they were on, they've left every other networking group that they were in, because they found so much value and they really wanted to invest in themselves and invest in the women inside No.
Yeah.
And whether it's a no or not no, it doesn't matter. Find what works for you, but really approach it from that perspective of how can I get into a place where I can feel comfortable and safe, and then I can just like do my work inside of this group.
For sure, for sure. So you mentioned fostering the relationships, and that was going to be my next question, because it can be really hard to go from acquaintance to actually having a real meaningful relationship. And to some extent, I mean, I guess this is obvious, you should know how to, be a good person to make a friend. But on the other hand, it's a little bit different when you're in the business world. So do you have any tips for basically cultivating the relationship with the people that you decide, yeah, I want this person in my circle?
Sure. Okay. So the first thing I always say is this is about No, but this is also about life in general. What are you bringing to the table? Make sure that what you are bringing to the table is equal, if not more than what you are asking from the person that's in front of you or that you want to connect with. So it's not about what they can do for you. It's about what you can do for them, or how you can work together to enhance both of your outlooks, right? So that's my number one recommendation. This is so funny because, like I said, when I came to Phoenix, I just threw myself into all of these different groups and all of these different meetings. And so I remember one of the first meetings I went to, it was like a luncheon, and we were at these different tables, and there were people there who were just shoving business cards in my face. And I thought, ew, I don't know you, right? Isn't that like kind of, you're like, ugh, I don't know you. I don't want your business card. That kind of like, that's the vibe that happens. So don't be that person. Number one, don't be that girl. And two, I just think, I talk about this regularly. A cup of coffee can change your entire trajectory. A cup of coffee with the right person. And sometimes it's just about the ask. So as long as you know that you're coming from a great place, you're coming from a place of like, I really want to get to know you. Celebrate the person. If it's somebody that you look up to, don't be afraid to celebrate them. Kill the ego, kill the whole like, oh girl, like I'm going to get together with you for coffee, and just humble yourself. And I'm talking in terms of someone that you really look up to and someone that you want to learn from, right? If you're looking to look at your audience and who you want to engage with, if it's somebody that you really want to pick their brain, lately I've been hearing that asking someone to pick their brain is like a bad thing. That's not true. It's not a bad thing. I'm here to help people who haven't reached my level. I'm also here to engage with people where I haven't reached their level. So it has to be like we pay it forward, and we're always looking to offer a hand. If someone isn't able to do that, and you've done all the things, you've humbled yourself, you've approached them, you've made yourself vulnerable to ask them for help, and you're not coming with a like business card in their face, and they still don't want to engage with you, that's them, not you. And remember that.
Yeah. Do you have a mentor?
Oh, I have so many mentors. Like I said, No has a lot of strategic partners, and we have a lot of advisory teams. My biggest thing for me within business is to make sure that I'm not doing it alone, because I'm not perfect and I make a lot of mistakes, and I need people to like self-check or to check me, and then I self-check, right? But for 7 years, I had an amazing older woman mentor. She had extreme success, and at the height of her career, she had 26 locations for her business. So I found someone who was who I wanted to be, right? I found who I wanted to emulate, and I asked her to be my mentor.
Did you straight up say those words, like, will you be my mentor?
I did, yeah.
Awesome.
I did. I saw her speaking. The story is I saw her speaking at a women's luncheon. I was still living in Raleigh, North Carolina. I don't think we had even opened our second location yet when Mary came in. I'm asking Michael, he's beside me. I don't think we had opened our second location when Mary came.
Yeah, it was in Charlotte, because I was in law school.
We had, okay. I'm just joking. Okay, so we were into our second location, and so I saw this amazing woman speaking, and she was talking about how to gear up for the new year or something crazy like that, right? And I thought, man, she is phenomenal. And I walked up to her and I said, I need to have coffee with you. And she goes, okay, like I'll get my assistant to, get you on the calendar or whatever. And so we took it to email, and then I had coffee with her, and I said, I am so blown away by you. You are a phenomenal woman. I've done all this research about you, and I see you, and I want to know, like, how can we work together? Can you help me? And, she was leading, she's retired now, but she was leading some women's groups that kind of help you get from like 100,000 to 1 million, and all of these different groups. And I said, I don't want to be a part of the group. I want to work with you. And she goes, well, I don't think so. I just only like work with 2 people a year. And I don't think that that I could do it. And I said, oh, okay, all right, well, if anything changes, let me know. I'm so grateful for this coffee. And she emailed me the next day. I had followed up and said, thank you for coffee. She emailed me back the next day and she said, I actually have changed my mind. I would love to work with you. And I think you are a great fit. And I'm looking forward to helping you grow. And she did. We call her the fairy godmother of Metro's Other Women. I mean, she helped us conceptualize so many marketing things, so many connections, and a great mentor, just in case anyone's wondering, a great mentor is someone who's going to make connections for you. So she was making connections for us, and not just like client referrals, like connections in other markets and connections in ways for us to grow in so many ways professionally and through expansion.
Wow. That's an amazing story. I feel like I'm getting emotional just listening to it.
That's what I said. So it's like ask for coffee, humble yourself, honor their accomplishments, and don't be afraid to say like, hey, I want this. Will you do it for me? And will you help me? It's really about like just being vulnerable. Will you help me? And if they say no, then hey, you tried. And then you never know, they might come back and say yes. And then it creates this long-lasting relationship. So she's still a great connection for me. She's she's retired. We kind of outgrew her and things shifted within No. I can still call her and ask her about No and what we should do. She's a No member actually. And she's since created an angel investor group to help other female business owners in the state of North Carolina grow and scale their businesses. And so she's just a dynamite person.
Wow. This has been so great. So thank you for sharing all of that. I have 2 questions that I ask all of my guests. And the first question you've probably answered 5 times over, but if you just have to narrow it down to one tip for people who are either early stage entrepreneurs or thinking about getting into business, what would you tell them?
Look at your community and start leveraging it.
Perfect. And then my second question is, what is your favorite book or podcast?
Oh, that's hard. So my favorite book is the book for high performers by Brendon Burchard. I really love that book. And I did a lot of work in that book.
Awesome. I haven't read it. So I've got to add it to my very, very long list of books to read. And every time I do a podcast interview, pretty much adding to the list.
You get a new book.
So if people want to find you or find No, where can they go?
So No is at theknowwomen.com, KNOW. On Instagram, we're at the.no.women. And yeah, you can find us all over. I am on Instagram at Sarah Benken, and connect with us over social, email, or through the web.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope that you guys all enjoyed this, and I'm sure that you got a lot of value out of it. So if you would go to Make a Seat on whichever platform you use, please rate us, subscribe, and if you have any feedback, let me know, Erica@d'angelolaw.com.